Hi, I'm here. I have notes, which I now can't find. Oh my lord. Ta-da. It's been a busy week, and I've got lots of things going on my desk, and I'm really trying not to multitask too much, but I so I made some notes while I was waiting for videos to upload. I swear, everything has like 12 steps, and it's great if I just like follow the steps every single time. And when I get distracted, then I forget where I am, or geez. So I decided that I would just upload these videos and do all the steps that I needed to do um, after I'd written down the instructions, because that's usually the best way for me to remember something. Um, and that I would make notes while I was waiting for the transcription to be transcribed. Hey, Reen. And then I see Phoenix, Anu, and Megan. Um, Welcome. And feel free to type a message in if you want me to answer anything or just want to say something. I enjoyed a dip because I can always go off on a tangent. Today we were not shopping, and which you would think would not be that hard, but we've gotten so used to like, oh, I'll just order that while I'm thinking about it. Um, and yesterday we made kind of an emergency trip to pick up a prescription that Mitch wanted to have before today. And um, oh, he's had some digestive issues, so he's drinking ginger beer. And so I needed to pick that up. I'm kicking myself because I forgot to buy ice cream, but I think we have enough to just squeak through tonight. Maybe I'll have an extra olive with my martini just in case. So back to having to follow all the steps and not get distracted. And it's really hard for me to just wait, while I don't know what it's doing. It says it's rendering and then it's optimizing. So I made a list of what I want to talk about today. And so last Friday, in a group I'm in, someone came and did a they came on Zoom, and did a presentation on procrastination. And I took the test that she had, which is just a standard test. Just type in procrastination test, and it will come up from many places. Um, and it said that I was an average procrastinator, which I would say is about right. I mean, I procrastinate about things, but I don't like get myself into too much trouble. Hey, Iris. Um, so procrastination isn't, I would say, my primary problem. My primary problem is that I work on these huge projects and they just become overwhelming. And, you know, I don't know whether is the tree falling in the forest or that I can't see the forest for the trees, probably both. Um, So, anyhow, what I learned about procrastination, and so I went into the workshop. Um, oh, I can too, Reed. Reed says I can put things off for years. And I do if it's something that I really have no interest in. And that was one of the really interesting things to me. So I will address that. So I needed to gather my tax data so that we could send it to the tax preparer. And I mean, that's literally all I have to do. It's not hard, it's not rocket science. But like 2 years ago, the platform that I used that I was accustomed to using decided to bow out of the unprofitable tiny business end of things. And so I've just been like drifting along since then. And I knew I needed to have a better process, but hadn't really gotten around to it because it's something I have no interest in. So my goal for that day was to get my tax information collected. Um, yeah, Iris says taxes are rocket science. Give me my knitting. I am not doing the taxes. I'm literally collecting the data, and which I'm perfectly capable of doing, except that it comes from all these different places, and you have to kind of aggregate all the information and then put it into a category. And all of these things totally within my capabilities. But so one of the reasons we procrastinate, it turns out, is that we don't know what to do. We don't know where to start. We feel overwhelmed. We feel inadequate, or we're fearful for whatever reason. Or number four, we don't care. So that would be the things you can put off for years. It's not critical to your being. Um, so when my mom died a few years ago, she had made me executor, me, probably the worst possible candidate. I'm moving my desk a little bit. But what she knew was that Mitch would make me do it, and he had to grind me to get it done. I would do it, there would be a big flurry of activity, and then I would just be so enervated by that that I'd have to wait a couple months before I could take on the next thing. But one of the things I asked of our presenter was like, isn't sometimes putting things off good? I mean, I find that I often put something off, and when I finally get back to it, I've either changed my mind or had some big revelation or have just figured out what I need to do. In fact, the project that I'm working on right now is one of those. And if I have time, I'll talk about that. So, if you have a history of procrastination, you have probably learned to beat yourself up about procrastinating. And so, if you're like me and think that you always have to be working, if you're not, if you know you're procrastinating or that you're putting something off, you will beat yourself up about it and add to the toxic mix of feeling overwhelmed or uninterested or inadequate or fearful. So first thing is to just say, like, why am I doing this? Why am I putting it off? And it's perfectly okay to say, because I don't want to do it. And then how we procrastinate is interesting because most of us don't just like go lay on the couch and eat bonbons. So we do all this other stuff in order to fill our time. And people will often, make jokes about, yeah, but I got all this other stuff done because I was procrastinating. Um, So the other thing is we do what I talked about at the beginning, which is we multitask so that we're just not focusing on anything. Um, and so there's the good thing, which is, you get some stuff done, even if it's not the stuff that you should have been getting done. Um, Most of us are doing something. Um, but often when we start multitasking, it just adds to our feeling of being overwhelmed. But, we tend to add in things like social media to that then, which gives us good pheromones or whatever it is, and dopamine, I guess. So um, we spend a lot of time doing things that we either don't need to do or um, could have done at some other time. But then we can create a crisis like, I have a deadline. I got to get this done. Welcome to April 14th. So I'm kind of doing a who, what, when, here, how, but I went out of order. Okay, so um, today I realized that one of the things I often say, well, I love a good deadline because it keeps me focused. But, and I will, in fact, create false deadlines for myself to get things done. But sometimes it's, even though you have a deadline, the project, you know, is amorphous in your mind, or you don't have a plan of attack. Um, you don't know what to do, you don't know how to do it, or you're unsure which way to progress. Um, so this also tends to bring up feelings of inadequacy, blah, 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 and it can create crisis if you're not moving your project ahead. Um, so, where do we procrastinate? Wherever we feel tension. So, it's a part of fight or flight, that kind of dinosaur brain, part of our brain. So, our brain's job is to just let us get relief. Um, so, wherever it happens, maybe it's, oh, I don't know. I put off changing my bank for like 40 years because I didn't feel like going down and doing it and figuring it out. Um, and it was a crisis that made me finally do it. And I probably wouldn't have done it. Mitch made me do it. So, what do you do when you're feeling overwhelmed, whether you're procrastinating or not? So break it down. What do you need to get done? So if you like to work on a calendar, say like, I have to have this done by April 15th. How am I going to backfill that in order to get through all the steps? And don't just don't ever just write work on taxes. No one's ever going to do that. Probably not even an accountant would do that. You have to give yourself really specific stuff. And last week I talked about finishing, and this is another place where procrastination can really get the best of us because we don't know what to do. The instructions were vague. None of it seems like fun. Um, and we know it's going to take longer than we think it should. So, um, always, always, always make a list or whatever you do to sort something out. Um, Today, I actually, on this project I'm working on, I'll just take you over here. Which way am I going? So, I had these blank sheets of paper that are the backs. I'm probably making you all seasick. Um, of some, monthly calendar pages, which I'm done with. So I flipped them over so I could write on them. And I just wrote like all of the key things that have to happen on this project for it to go live. And I wrote like 12 things up there, and literally I couldn't do anything more for a while. I just had to, I couldn't get a detailed list going because it just seemed huge. But by kind of writing that down, it reminded me to do a post about it. And what else did I do today? Think about, I've got to test things on my website, and I'm working on an Excel document I've worked on that. I worked on, Mitch took photographs of me yesterday, put that off till the last minute. Why? Because I don't like to do it. I don't like being a model, although I thought I did a really nice job, except he always catches me with all these goofy faces. Um, so I edited the pictures so that they could go into the pattern and up online. So I was able to get quite a bit done. I got all those videos uploaded. And this is like the first day this week that I haven't had some sort of minor banking crisis that had to be dealt with. Um, and that's a great way to start your day. Um, so I've been diligently working on this project, and now I'm just kind of like I just have specific areas that things have to get done. Um, and I did also make a list of what I got done this week. So I finished knitting the vest that I'm making. It'll just have a sleeve, cap sleeve, and a collar. And so I got the body done. And I've blocked it, wet blocked it. Now I need to steam block it. And then I have to figure out how many stitches I'm going to need for the pieces that have to be done for the finishing. I did get my tax documents, hi Margaret, done, and the document uploaded. And what I decided to do on that was, I'm really good if if you just give me something that I have to do, I can do it. So I'd watched the Craft Industry Alliance had a webinar on bookkeeping, and timely, and so I bought the gals spreadsheet because it was really all I need was just like someplace to plug in my information. And she's got all the formulas in there and everything calculates. And now it can create a sheet for me to make a budget. And it was really very cool. $100 well spent. I've already started 2025. So that felt pretty good. I had, because I changed my bank, I'm changing my bank. I had to tell Social Security to send my check to a different bank. Hopefully, Elon Musk hasn't fucked that up too badly. I did my little photo shoot yesterday. It went actually much better than I thought, so it only took like 15 minutes. I had all this credit reporting and banking shit that I had to do. I'm working on this project, and I've been diligently working on both the written part of it and the calculating part of it in Excel. I have links here. What do you think I meant by that? Oh, and who knows what I meant by that? So every night Mitch plays music from 5 to 6, and except on Mondays and Fridays when he adds on at 30 minutes. So what I typically do at the end of the day, I love to work from paper. I stare at my computer all day long, and then I print out like whatever needs editing or me to think about or to organize, all that stuff. I grab it and take it down to the dining room table and sort through it. So last night I was writing a quick start document for this project, and it made me realize that I could use the Pattern Tailor, which is an online calculator that I devised and someone else built for me, to do all these things that I've been having on my website in interactive tables. And I can't find an easy table maker that will do that to replace the one I had to get rid of. So I realized I could if I figured out what I need to do, I can do the same thing to create things um, that I will offer to people for free. Like, how long will it take me to knit this thing if I knit 2 rounds in 10 minutes, or whatever? Um, how much yarn do I have left if I've got 12 grams of yarn and I started with 100? Um, I love making little calculators like that, so I have lots of them. How much yarn will I need to do JSSBO? Because it tends to take a lot more yarn than a regular row of knitting. Um, and how much yarn will I need for a long tail cast on? Um, let's see, what else do I do? I don't have one that just calculates gauge by 4, dividing it by 4, but I could probably do that. So anyhow, last night as I was sitting there at the dining room table and I was kind of whipped last night, I started realizing, oh, I can solve like 2 problems with once. I'm teaching myself how to do these calculators, and I can just do these quickies and use it to practice, because trust me, it's daunting to do something that requires a lot of deep calculation, but these are really easy. So I sat down last night to put the bobbles on that scarf that I showed you last week, and I did one. I love it, but I realized I just needed to knit. So I had a project that I had ripped back. And then as I ripped it back, I decided I wanted to change, like the entire number of stitches was going to stay the same, but I wanted to have more room between where the decreases were happening. So I had ripped out a lot. It's this wonderful cashmere that Jamie gave me. It's called Nordic Yarn Eco Cashmere, and it's 50% recycled cashmere and 50% virgin. Um, it's fingering weight. Um, and so 50 grams has 246 yards. You know, cashmere is pretty light, um, but it's kind of sticky. And, you know, I'm pulling out these 300 stitch rows, and I have 2 colors. Everything got like so tangled up. And it was actually pretty easy to pull out the other yarn, which was yak based, because it was much more slippery. But this one I then spent like an hour and a half last night untangling the yarn so that I could press on. And one of the things I do, I used to watch my mom. Um, yeah, another one of my favorites. If you saw, if you were here instead of in Ann Arbor, Reed, she says, I love that collar. It matches your glasses. I have a very limited palette, so I can have like things that match. But you have to kind of jump on things when you see them in your colors, because they are not always available. Oh, so and my mom used to do the same thing. So I just like, once the yarn gets tangled, I just like pull out enough to do the next number of stitches. And I had like literally gotten to a point where I could not pull out anymore. I had to untangle it. And the lesson I learned. So last year when we were in Italy for a month, and I had left with this tangled skein of a cotton silk blend that I love. And I wasn't sure I could ever get that color again. And so it had gotten tangled when I was winding it into a ball, and I like traveled through Italy for a month, and finally we got to Trieste, which was close. You know, we're like 10 days out from coming home. And I was just like, okay, Jill, you gotta quit fucking around on this thing and figure out how to untangle it. I could have cut it. I don't know why I didn't. Um, I do too, Reen. She says, I love to untangle yarn. I like to untangle yarn. This was getting annoying because I was making no progress. And then of course I'd have to pack it up because we were moving around. So I sat down and I'd been working from one end and I found the other end and started working from both ends, and that was the secret. So that's what I did last night was I found, so the original end was still a ball in a sock, and so it meant a lot of weaving in and out of this larger thing and making openings to stick it through. But now I'm done and I'm knitting again, so that's good, because I'm sure I won't be up for anything else. I did want to show you. Um, so Iris, this is for you. You'll know why. This is an in the round swatch where I've made like I-cords, so there's all these floats across the back, and they are not things of beauty. I would make my knitter do these and she would be so upset with how bad the back looks, but they just are what they are. And so I did this swatch, and I've been, one of the little calculators I'm doing is how do you figure out how much yarn there is in these floats? Because I use the area of your swatch to figure out how much yarn you're going to need. And so, yeah, Iris says, I love it, not. So you need to be able to get rid of this yarn that's just across the back. And so anyhow, this is my swatch. I have another one, but it's down on the couch. This is the pattern that I'm going to be releasing here in March. And so it's another cowl. It's really simple. This is what I love about it. You're just knitting in the round, switching colors every 4 rows. And because of elongated slip stitches on the surface, it creates these columns. And so you get this kind of, if you see the inside, you can see that it's both vertical and horizontal. And so I'm in love with it. I love the yarns that I made it out of. I'm having one made that's using a single ply and a mohair. I can't wait to see that one. And the scarf I'm working on is using this pattern. So it's not a scarf, it's a shawl. So that was my week. Yeah, it is magic. It's just very cool. And as you may or may not know, I don't do color work because I can't manage yarn. I would just probably be cocooned in colors. So slip stitches are, oh, one other thing. So that's upside down. But there's a gal called Bonnie Bischoff, Bishoff. And so this is Fimo. She's, or whatever. And then metalwork. And she and her husband started, making things like this. And she will often be at like H&H. But they also did sculptures and furniture out of this. And I know she's doing less. Yeah, isn't her work great? She's doing less of this kind of thing now. I think she's teaching more because, of course, nobody's shopping. But I pulled that out because I couldn't find the pin that I'd chosen to put on this. Um, that'll be another photo shoot, but it turned out to be like really great colors for this, and I like the kind of organic with the structural. So it's been a beautiful. We had 2 days of just horrible winds and rain at the beginning of the week, and let's see, Wednesday it was really nice, but got cloudy in the afternoon. So yay, I got to put off the photos another day. And then yesterday it was beautiful all day, and I decided I would just do the photos because I didn't know whether it would be nice beyond that. So I have camellias that are starting to shove out their blossoms, their buds are opening, and my hellebores have been heroically blooming. And what other thing in the garden is happening? Oh, the squirrels are building new nests, so they're probably pregnant. Um, and I woke up to some noise this morning, and I went like, "Oh God, bird season is almost here." Um, we get these robins that will just drive you insane. But I think that's the end of of March. So looking forward to the Oscars. I always watch it for the dresses, and I'll just turn to Mitch and say, "Are we looking at a pretty dress?" And if the answer is no, please move on. Um, but we have seen 3 of the movies. So we saw Honora. Love the lead actress. She's just really great. We watched her in Better Things. Mikey Mickelson, is that her name? She was fabulous. Um, Times They Are Changing, is that what it's called? The Bob Dylan one. Timothy Chalamet was fantastic, as were all the supporting actors. And hi, Cynthia. Um, oh, God, who played Pete Seeger? He was great. You'll have to watch the Oscars tomorrow to find out who it was. Um, and then we saw The Brutalist, and it is fantastic. So I am rooting for that and for Adrian Brody to win. Um, I thought that it was such a hard role. It had to have just been brutal to. Um, you can watch the video, which will be faster than these are, because I cut out all my ums and when my brain farts out. Um, so anyhow, I'm really rooting for him, and I have a blog post that I'm going to post about that on Sunday on Substack, because I had a lot of thoughts after that. I will tell you that typically I'm just looking for entertainment. I'm not looking to have my life changed when I go to the movies, but it was pretty powerful. And it's 3.5 hours long, I think, but didn't feel that way. Um, and there's an intermission after like 2 hours. So kind of shake the cobwebs off and come back. It was just a fabulous movie. Everyone in it was great, as were all of the actors in the other two, but this one was so powerful. And if you haven't seen Honora, watch it. She's a great actress. And I'm a huge Bob Dylan fan, so as is Mitch. And so we went to see that one. And um, I don't think I gave you the right name. Timothy Chalamet was really good. He sings better than Bob Dylan, so that was nice. And again, the entire cast was really wonderful. Who was that guy? Ed Edward Norton. This is my life these days. So anyhow, that's all I got for today, and I can tell I'm getting tired. This is like a new thing for me that I just peter out at the end of the week. So I will take my pile of paper back down to the dining room table for the music hour and get ready to make dinner and sit down with my martini at 6:30. Um, and tomorrow we have to go to the grocery store because we couldn't go today because we couldn't shop. Um, and I do all of this so that I can avoid our current world. So I leave you on that happy note. All the runners are out, dogs are being walked, and have not seen my hummingbirds much today. So there must be other good things for them out there. So I'm going to sign off. I will upload the video and take all the dead space out of it and reload it. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.